Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here, and it's a great honor to see so many of you here today. I was very eagerly discussing during the break with some of the colleagues, and even more eagerly I was listening this morning's intervention, and I was truly impressed. Of course, I was impressed with John's intervention, but if I may say so, you had three striking women speaking about teachers, profession, and education system, and also demands of the education system today. And of course, thank you for the openers. I'm delighted to see so many competent ladies, even in so high positions as in presidential service. Now, this is a test if I'm managing better than John. Yes, I am. You see, Finnish education. Very few words. I'm not going deep into Finnish history, don't be afraid. But very few words what we come from. What is Finland? What is the history of Finland? And not very many people know that Finland was quite poor agricultural country still in 60s. We had some industry. Finland was industrializing, but not very rapidly. High technology was beyond our hopes and dreams. But what we did in the end of 60s and what we implemented in 70s was thorough change, even revolution in our education system. Before that, when I'm pretty old, believe it or not, don't ask women's age, but I started my school in late 60s. John can count, I suppose now. And when I started my school, I started with the old system still. And after the 4th grade, at the age of 11, I practically had to choose whether to ever go to university in my life. So that was a very strict two-strand system, one ending up to academic life, another one not. And education was not entirely free of charge. But in 70s, during the 70s, it was a gradual process starting up to the north and ending up to Helsinki, our capital in the south. We changed our education system entirely. Changed the system so that we have a comprehensive, unified 9 years basic education free of charge to everybody, secondary education, general and vocational, free of charge to everybody, and university system, free of charge to everybody. And what happened? We are always speaking about PISA, but this is what happened to this poor agricultural country who was still somewhere on the bottom of the competitiveness rankings in the 60s and 70s. And that's where we are now. And probably why I'm here now is to answer how did we end up there. One reason, of course, is the change in education system. But I was asked in the morning that what is my recipe? What are my magical words? How could Bulgaria change its education system? Unfortunately, I have the strong belief that every education system reflects its mother country's values, history, conditions, social policy, so many other factors. So there is no not simple trick to turn the system kind of on a positive track. However, there are some issues which might be worth of discussing, which might be worth of sharing, which might be even worth of elaborating. In Finland, we are very lucky. Coming from the Ministry of Education, I would say that, okay, this is something you can give credit to the bureaucrats, but unfortunately you can't. Finns do value education very highly. And that's something which is in our culture. We can go to our history and see that education has always played a crucial role, even when we gained our independence, when we created our national identity. So education, we don't need to market education to the Finns. Finns tend to value education. And this reflects to the teacher's profession as well. Finns do value teachers very highly. Teacher's profession is one of the most highly valued professions in Finland. And you can see it in everyday life. You can see it in the university admission tests. If you want to become a teacher, you have to go to the pedagogical faculty. And pedagogical faculties in the universities are one of the most difficult places to get in. On average, 1 out of 10% of applicants are getting in. To the biggest universities, even less. So we really get the best possible people, best possible persons to the teacher's profession. And we are very grateful for that, because we know that this is not common in the world. Also, Finns do value the education system quite highly. There was a recent research that showed that close to 80%, more than 75% of the Finnish population believed that the Finnish comprehensive school, which was established, as said, in the 70s, is one of the most remarkable happenings, most remarkable innovations in Finnish history. And it creates it's also one of the cornerstones of Finnish well-being. And this is quite important result to measure the trust of the people to the education system in general. But if we're speaking about cornerstones of Finnish education, somebody mentioned the word trust in the previous session, and trust is really a word which you hear very, very often in Finland. We trust, as a government, we trust our municipalities. We trust our teachers, and municipalities trust our teachers and principals. And parents do trust the education system. And this is, once again, very, very rare phenomenon in the world. I'm coming back to that. Probably you are now shouting in your minds, why? But I'm trying to explain it a bit further during my presentation. I already mentioned that we have universal free education with school meals. But often when we are speaking about Finnish education system, we mention quality. If you ask us Finns in the Finnish ministries and the Finnish administration, we would say that even more important than quality is equity and equality and equal opportunities in Finnish education system. And this is something, it's very important. It's very difficult to understand Finnish system and our decisions if you don't accept the fact that Finns value equity and equality so highly in education. This is one reason why we have universal free education, why it's free of charge to everybody. Because we believe that we cannot lose a single human brain. We are quite a big country geographic-wise, but we have only 5.5 million inhabitants, hardly any natural resources. So how we can build up such a society which is ranked as in competitiveness on the top of the world? Only by human brains, and we can't lose a single one. So that's why, also in very pragmatic reasons, not only for human reasons, equity is so important for us, and it's so commonly acknowledged. So you can take a rational point of view, even commercial and business point of view of its importance, as well as the human values. We do not have, and that is why Finnish education system, I go a bit this. Finnish education system, no, I can't, sorry. I'm trying to find this little red black dot, which I can't. Yes, I can. Can I? No, I can't. Okay, John, okay, John. I'm kind of resembling John at the moment. All right, so, no, this is working too fast. So Finnish education system starts in, official school starts at age of 7. Yes, and it still starts at age of 7. We don't expect our children to be able to read or write before age of 7. We do have, however, pre-primary year at the age of 6. That's compulsory today, but it's just for orientation, learning to learn skills, and also we are trying to identify the potential difficulties in learning at the very early age. But as you see, please don't look at the boxes, look at the arrows. And you can really see that there are no dead ends in Finnish education system. No matter if you choose after 9 years basic education, vocational education of 3 years, it qualifies you to the university studies or polytechnics. You can go whatever route you take, you can always end up to doing your doctoral thesis if you wish so. However, we have tried to encourage more and more young people not to enter to universities only, because we feel that in the future we need quality vocational education and training as well. This is something which is needed, but it should be of high quality as well. So today it varies a bit year by year, but it's about 55% of the youngsters are I tried it, it didn't work. About a bit less than 60% of the pupils are going to the general upper secondary education, and about 42%, 44 was this year, if I remember correctly, to vocational education. And this is quite important balance to keep, so that we can keep also the skilled labor in years to come. If we are still speaking about characteristics or cornerstones of Finnish education, Finns are keen in concentrating on learning instead of steering. You can see it in so many ways, and I think we are kind of one of my Japan friend from Japan said once that Finland is like a Wild West in education. And in a way we are. We don't have any school inspectors to start with. We haven't had for 20 years. Oh dear. Okay. Are there any school inspectors in the crowd, by the way? Okay, hopefully not. Sorry if there is any. We are trying to keep the bureaucracy as small as possible. So, for instance, if we take our ministry of it, we have two bodies in the administration. If we speak about basic education, the Ministry of Education and National Board of Education, which is an agency. It's not a board; it's an agency. And all in all, if we see look at the ministry, for instance, can you guess how many people are working only with general education, Finnish basic education? How many persons are in our ministry who are working in dealing only with basic education? Any guesses? Wild guesses? 12 was closest. It's actually 16, 16. So in whole ministry, whole country, very light bureaucracy. Okay, in the National Board of Education, there are some more people working there. Their duty is to develop education and also set the national core curricula. But actually administration, legislation, and norms are made in the ministry with very few people, very few norms, few people, few norms. Very, very simple. That's mathematics, isn't it, John? And we don't have hardly any regional administration in education, so there is central administration, municipalities, and schools. We love to keep it simple in Finland, really. So, and of course, this is question of setting resources as well. I know that there are businessmen in the audience. I'm trying to address you as well. So, if we put our resources in education, where should we put them? In Finland, we don't believe that administration is where you should put them, but classroom is the place which is the most important part in Finnish education system. And in classroom, what happens in classroom between teacher and between pupil, that is the most important, and that is something what we are working for in the administration. So that's how it goes. We have also very loose curricula. We only set core curricula nationwide, giving the loose framework. I'm coming back to that. You probably have some questions of new Finnish curricula. I know that there has been some headlines recently. But we only set core curricula nationwide. Municipalities are adding local ingredients to that. Big cities, situation is different than, let's say, in very rural areas. And then the schools. At the end of the day, the schools are finalizing the curricula, the principal together with teachers. So once again, it's important that the teachers and those who are in the classroom are finalizing the curricula. They must have something to say what they are teaching as well. So once again, very, very loose curricula. Of course, there are some other anomalies in Finnish education system which strike to our Asian friends, especially short school days. Finnish school days are among the shortest in the world. I think Hungary has shorter than we. Yeah, so very, very, very few countries are having shorter days than we do. So we don't actually believe that quantity brings quality. Quality is something else. Even if you are increasing the number of teaching, it doesn't necessarily mean that learning is better. So situation is quite easy. The one last point I want to mention about the Finnish education system, why we are so cowboys of the education system, is that we don't have any national tests in Finland. We don't have a single standardized national test in whole school career, which covers whole age cohort. The closest is the matriculation examination, which covers about half of the age cohort after the upper secondary education at the age of 18. But in the basic education, none. We follow, however, and get feedback by random-based sample tests, which are organized to the certain subjects, to the certain schools on certain years. About 5 to 6% of the schools are covered annually. And we get feedback, but we never publish the results. We give them to schools, we give them to teachers, and if there's something to improve, guess what? We trust that the schools are doing their job, and they are the best to do their job. So, just very briefly, this is not my picture. This is actually 5, 6 years old picture made by Finnish professors. But I think this illustrates pretty well what this is all about. So Finns are great friends of flexibility, diversity. We put always emphasis on broad knowledge and trust through professionalism. Not trust with a blind eye, but trust with educated professionals. So we cannot trust teachers if they are not well educated. What we need is the good education, good support to the teachers, and then I think they are worth of our trust. And we trust that the experts, well-educated experts, motivated experts, are the best people to carry out their job. I would like to say some words about the Finnish. Let's have that slide, because I know that the Finnish curricula is on the process to be revised, let's say so, in basic education. So actually we made the decisions already on government level for the new curricula, but now it's the municipalities and later the schools are elaborating and finalizing the curricula which should be applied in autumn 2016. So in 2016 there will be new curricula applied in all Finnish schools. So there has been some discussion that Finland is abolishing subjects in the new curricula. We even, I don't know in how many headlines we have been in the press all around the world. And this is not entirely true. There is some truth, however, in that statement. We still teach subjects in Finnish schools. So there will be teachers of mathematics, there will be teachers of mother tongue and languages and biology and so on. And we also have approved that how many hours and how many lesson hours per subject there should be taught in Finnish schools in years to come. However, in our new curricula, we emphasize some skills. And actually, we emphasize and introduce a concept which is a kind of crossing of subject-based and competence-based curricula. What do I mean by that? There are some key competencies which we have mentioned, and I was so happy to hear the introductions this morning, because I think you were discussing very many of those competencies which are mentioned in Finnish new curricula. Learning to learn skills, very student-centered approach, because I think the whole Finnish system is very student-centered, because the pupil and learning is in the center of the process. That is the most important thing. So a critical encouragement to critical thinking and analytical thinking is one of the competencies which is very, very much highlighted in Finnish new curricula. Cultural interaction and cultural understanding, I was very happy that was mentioned also today here. Entrepreneurship skills and understanding how the economy works, and also the employment skills, employability is quite important part. How to understand how the working life works and how you prepare yourself to the working life. ICT. Then we have now I have some troubles to translating the skills which you need in everyday life. Very normal. How do you keep your budget at home? How you manage when you move outside the home? How you live? Very simple life skills. Very practical and concrete life skills. That's one of the competencies which is highlighted in our new curricula. And then media and what we call multiliteracy, so that you can understand what you are reading, the amounts and flows of information which the youngsters are facing every day, how you can analyze, how you can read them, how you can even understand them. Just to mention a few of those. And then we introduced one new tool for teaching, which ended up to the headlines, actually. It's not very new in Finland. Actually, quite a number of Finnish schools have already practiced cross-cutting topics in Finnish curricula, so that there might be a course or there might be a project where several subjects are taught at the same time. We call it, in new curricula, we call it phenomenon-based or topic-based modules or courses. So now it's compulsory to every Finnish school to have at least one module or course which has this cross-cutting element of several subjects. And the idea is to help kids to analyze things and teach them to see things in different angles. The schools are free to choose the topics, the schools are free to choose how long modules they would have, probably a few weeks. It's 5 or 6 weeks is quite normal length of module in Finland. So if I may take an example, and if I may use Svetlana's excellent, beautiful example, I don't know if Svetlana is in the hall now, but it was very nice of European Union. If I may continue and use it as an example. Thank you, Svetlana. So imagine if in years to come, if Svetlana wants to repeat this experience, but you would have 5 weeks' time or 6 weeks' time, and you would like to cooperate with, let's say, you were a history teacher yourself, weren't you? With a language teacher, mother tongue teacher, geography teacher, and let's say biology teacher, and do together something together to understand what is the impact of European Union in our everyday life. So the mother tongue teacher could say that, okay, this is something, it's a very good topic for essays. So in this course we are practicing how to write essays and short stories about European Union, analyzing it. But he or she will assess it on the basis of the skills or literary skills of the pupil. Okay, doesn't matter very much how much he knows about European Union, but oh my God, he's writing so well. Good marks. Biology teacher could, for instance, use the norms and analyze the norms, how the European Union is protecting environment, for instance. Please do analyze it. And then you see also the decision-making process could be easily combined to that. So you might have lessons with biology teacher in the same classroom with you, teaching the same class. Or some of the lessons could be given in English language. That might be hard for your students, but they will survive, I'm sure. They looked very bright. And of course, you had art already, but why not make them take an arts teacher to help them to make videos, and then they will assess to, okay, that was not very good angle, so you should maybe improve your skills in the lighting and whatever. So you can do whatever, but they are several teachers who are kind of collaborating together. So it's not just that giving assets to the pupils, but it's also to make teachers collaborate together. Somebody said in the morning that teachers could be quite alone, and that's very true. Teachers could be quite often quite alone. But to help them with the promise and support of the school to collaborate together, that could be a very enriching experience, not only for students, but also for teachers. We are trying to support our teachers also other ways. So sometimes it's criticized that the role of teacher today is not to teach so much, but do administrative job, do something else, help pupils who have difficult in learning or maybe some other difficulties at home. In every Finnish school, there is a group which we call Student Welfare Group, comprising of the teacher, subject teacher potentially, or classroom teacher, school nurse, psychologist, special needs education teacher, and if necessary, principal as well. And they are coming and gathering frequently, once a week, twice a week, depending on the size of the school, and analyzing, okay, how we can help you, how we can help the teacher in the classroom. Do they need, let's say, does John need, sorry John, does John need you will be Jussi in Finnish, shall Jussi need any special assistance in mathematics? Oh, Jussi has been absent quite a while, for 2 weeks now. We don't really know what's the matter with Jussi. Maybe we should discuss with the parents, and maybe we should see how we can motivate Jussi. But anyway, Jussi needs to wrap up his mathematics skills, because otherwise he will drop out and lag behind. So probably the special needs education teacher takes Jussi temporarily. Let's say Jussi is a very clever man. So he will be having a kind of a support for 3 weeks, just to catch up. And then Jussi will be with others as well. Because we believe that early intervention is one of the key words in Finnish education system. It's probably one reason why Finland is doing so well, because we are trying to identify the potential problems already in the pre-primary education and early childhood education, but also we try to react as fast as we can in school. Because if Jussi is lagging behind for, let's say, half a year, probably all the time he's lagging more and more behind. But if he can catch up immediately, So situation will be much easier. And besides, this part-time remedial teaching, this part-time support, is very common in Finland. Also full-time or temporary full-time support for pupils. Approximately annually, about 20% of the pupils are receiving this kind of a temporary part-time support, and about 15-16% are getting full-time support. So all in all, it was counted in one research that after finalizing the basic education at the age of 15, about half of the pupils have received some kind of support or special needs assistance. So there's no stigma anymore. It's part of normal routines in the classroom. And that's very important. It's important for the students, but it's important for the parents and getting parents' support as well. So this is, early intervention is definitely one of the reasons. And then I would like to conclude with the teachers. In Finland, the teachers are working independently. They can choose pretty much the material they are using, definitely the methods. They can participate to the curriculum development in their own classroom, and they are responsible of how and when they are assessing their pupils. The core curricula sets the norms for assessment, overall principles, and defining what is the good performance. But there are several methods and several ways how the teacher can conduct the assessment in the classroom. And as said, teachers and without teachers and their independence and their autonomy, it's quite difficult to steer a system like Finland, because it's very much based on the autonomy and trust for expertise. Of course, there is another side of the coin, and that is that we have to ensure that the teachers get sufficient amount of retraining and sufficient amount of continuing training, because the world is changing so rapidly. All right, this is pretty much what I wanted to say, but if I'm just concluding, in Finland, we have the strong belief what's happening in the classroom. Finnish system is very student-centered. We have strong trust to our teachers and their excellence. And we also see education as part of the social system, social stability, equity. And we also believe that education, it's not only the right, it's definitely a human right, the access of the education to everybody, quality education for everybody is a human right, but it's also vital for our economy. It's vital for our competitiveness, it's vital for our success in global world. Thank you.